Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Did you guys enjoy your lunch? Yes. Y'all full? Yes. Y'all ain't gonna be falling asleep, right? Don't be here falling asleep now. We need you fully alert for these speakers. A lot of beds? All right. We got some beds for you, but not here. But I definitely want you guys to be alert. I want you to be full. Did you? It was that good?
Yes.
Y'all have to thank Four Seasons for that. 4 Seasons. Jennifer Tran. She's an awesome. And guess what? If you want to eat healthy too, you can go down there. It's on West Market Street, 163. So it's not just, good food. Four Seasons.
Everybody have a raffle?
Yeah.
Right. So before I bring on this dynamic speaker, this awesome, beautiful black queen, we're going to do a raffle because the seniors is like, look, we ain't here till 5 o'clock. We want to know what's going on. After you like that, they like, I'm ready to go to sleep. They're like, we love y'all, it was good, but it's time to go. And we understand. Okay, I understand. So, also, Sophie, we're going to switch this around. I's going to go on before you, you're going to go on after us. All right? So, let me get... Oh, she ain't gonna be able to get up. You gonna walk over to her? Okay, so we want to get our eldest to pull the raffle. Make sure y'all look at y'all numbers. Let me see. Mike, is this the? Mikey, is this raffle right here for the TV?
No.
Oh, this is not the TV raffle. I'm sorry, y'all. So, do we do the last 3 numbers? The last two. All right, come on, y'all. Don't go. The last 3. Mikey, why we not raffling off the TV yet? You're gonna have these people fighting over, but they say they can't. Okay. All right. We'll make sure you get it to where you gotta go. All right. So the number is 0, 5, 5. The first 3 numbers is 300. 300 055. But you better hold your ticket. Is that a gift basket? Mikey, is that a gift basket?
She didn't get to pick the one that she wanted.
Is that a gift? Oh, she get to pick it? Okay. So we got one more raffle, y'all. Y'all gotta listen. Y'all ready?
Yes.
No. No, it ain't 0. It's 965. 965.
Is that 299?
299, 965. Yes!
So after Ms. Glover speak, then I take you guys in the back and you can pick.
Yes.
Y'all excited? Congratulations. Make sure, but listen. Shh. Listen, I need you guys, because I don't want you to throw away your raffle tickets. We gave you 3 raffle tickets, which means you get to win 3 times. So you take the raffle ticket that you won and you rip that one. Well, you give it to her before you rip it up. But just take it off the one that you have because you have an opportunity to win 3 more. I love the big one. I want to win the TV myself, put it in my kitchen. But,
I'm going.
right, so without further ado, this is a little personal for me, Ms. Glover. Ms. Glover is now the VP of Innovations at Audible.com. She was a part of Invest Newark. She was one of the mayor's go-to women in the city to make things happen in development. She's a part of My Sister's Keeper. She's also one of my mentors and my advisors, and she keep me going. You know, you have to have a team of people to elevate you. Right? You guys listening to me? Yes. See, I know it's always my buddy in the front. Right. So you always got to have a team of people to elevate you. And I know that I was one of the cookies that the man was like, look, this girl right here is getting on my last nerve. She need help. Could y'all help her? Right? And so without hook or crook, Miss Glover definitely got in, and she made me and shaped me to be a beautiful woman. I'm still got work in progress, like I told y'all, but at the end of the day, when there is things that I need to get done or there's things that I need to know, she answered her phone. Not lately since she moved to Audible, but she's been a little busy, but she answered her phone. And I think that's what's important. You have to have accountability partners, and she's one of my accountability partners. And when I asked her to come speak, it wasn't even like, no, I can't do it, I'm busy. I'm like, okay, it was okay. What am I speaking about? And so she's going to speak on sisterhood. She got some things that she can share. But more importantly, you know, people, their time. So for her to spend her time at the Chinese Center and give us some jewels, I can't even express it. So you guys give her a real loud applause, right? Because that's our payment. That's our payment. I love you, Lord.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies. Ooh, the energy is up. That means you got sugar in your system. I appreciate you feeding them first, so I didn't have to be between you and lunch. I love you, Lex. I love to just say that to you personally, privately, publicly, and I consider it a privilege to be one of your sister friends. And I encourage you all, don't believe what anybody says. Women support women. We do, 100%. And even when I don't always answer my phone, I answer my phone still. And when Lex asked me to come today, one of my mantras and one of the things I always try to say is just show up. Like oftentimes we are let down or we have people not come through, and so just show up. That's half of the work. The other half is doing the work. You know, just stand there. You gotta know what you're doing, know what you're talking about. And so whenever Alexis calls on me, I always try to show up. This must be an important call right now.
Yes, God.
Sorry. So yeah, I'll just share a little bit about me. I think context is important. You know, I oftentimes prefer not to lead with titles and all of that. I am not my position. I am not any title. I'm really just a reflection of everything that I've been going through and everything that's brought me here. So I want to just give you a little bit of that context. I am not a native Newarker. I've been reminded of that every single day. I've been here for the last 7 years. But I came to Newark on purpose. Like, it feels like home. I grew up in Brooklyn, and there's so many blocks that I go down that I'm like, oh, this is Flatbush. Oh, this is Crown Heights. Oh, this is Ditmas Park. Or this is Brownsville. This is Bed-Stuy. It feels like home, and I love that the city is just so unapologetically Black. And I say that as being half Black and half Puerto Rican, but there's something about wanting to do for and investing in people, and so Newark has definitely kept me here. I grew up, my mom raised my brother and I grew up kind of being dragged along to party meetings. My mother was a very much active revolutionary. I'll leave out all the details. But she was also an educator. I oftentimes sat in the back of class when she was in college. And you know, you got the look, you got a piece of paper, a pencil, something, just figure it out, be quiet and sit there. And what that did was it gave us someone to emulate, someone to look up to, someone to aspire to be like. And it really instilled a very strong sense of education for my brother and I. Even when we were acting up, junior high school, I just knew we had to pull the good grades. We were doing all sorts of stuff we weren't supposed to be doing, but we knew that school always came first and foremost. We had to read every single day. And so that just became really a core part of who I am. I went to college. I went to public university, Hunter College, to the University of New York. And when I was a junior, I had my daughter. So I was 19 when I had my first child. And I had two family comments that will stick with me forever. One was from a cousin who said, I think she's 2.5, 3 years older than me. She was like, well, I'm glad it's you and not me. It's like, okay. And another from a very close relative that said, well, so now you're gonna drop out? And I couldn't wrap my head around that. And he said, you know, the chips are against you. And I took it personal because I knew that I was gonna finish college. Like, it wasn't even a question of how I was gonna balance or do this or do that. My mother said, I'm not kicking you out, but where are you gonna live? I was like, oh, okay. But it was her way of saying, you gotta be on your own now. You know, you have to do for yourself. So it took me 5 years to finish undergrad instead of 4 years, which in the grand scheme of things, like, it takes people 5 and 6 years now anyway. I went to summer school, I went to school over winter break, I went to school and I worked at the same time. And I remember vividly going to school from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It was on the Upper East Side. And I'd walk to work from 68th Street to 43rd Street. And that was also like maybe 3 or 4 avenues. So I'd walk to work. So my job started at 12. I'd leave school, walk to work, and then work my 8-hour shift, and then go home. And I did that because I wanted to stay in school full time, and I knew I had to finish. Again, it wasn't even an option. And then because I'm a glutton for punishment, I decided to go to grad school. Took me 3 years instead of 2. But I took a class in grad school, and I can't remember if I failed or if I got my worst grade, but in any, this just tells you how much it didn't really matter. The class was urban economic development. And when Alexis introduced me, for those of you that don't know my work and what I do now, I work in economic development. So I had the privilege of serving under Mayor Baraka and leading the city's economic development corporation. He gave me the benefit of leading the charge at the time to try to bring Amazon to the city of Newark. I've been appointed to the statewide economic development authority. So this is like my field now, right now. And so I say that to say, like, all of that actually doesn't matter, right? It really matters what stuck with you after all that. Went back, did well in the class, decided to continue to chip away at it. And I think throughout my career, really 1 or 2 things like stand out that I wanted to share with you today. I always just try to network. I'm naturally a people person anyway, but you cannot put a value on relationships and relationship building. People remember how you make them feel. People want to work with people they like. That doesn't mean that you have to be, happy-go-lucky and always trying to be, work with me. No. But if you don't like somebody, you're not going to work with them. Right? And so really investing that time and energy into nurturing relationships. If you're an entrepreneur, that will drum up sales for you. If you are working for somebody else, it's going to allow you to be more effective. If you're just trying to run your household, when there's harmony in your home, it's so much easier. So I really wanted to share that with you because my first role out of grad school, I was actually in a program with the woman who ran this nonprofit. And because I worked so well with her on group projects, she was like, I want to hire you. I had never worked in a nonprofit sector before. And so for me, it was like, okay, I like her, we work well together. And so that was really through networking and through connecting. That organization shut down, and my next role, I worked at the development corporation that runs the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I got through connections because I had previously partnered with them, and they actually said to me, draft your job description, create your role. That's golden. If you could script what you want to work on, and that was really because of that relationship building, putting in that groundwork, and how I ultimately ended up in Newark. I had people come out to the Brooklyn Navy Yard to tour, trying to learn from the model, and they wanted to bring it back to Newark. And that's when I was first introduced. And like many people, when you come, you just get sucked in, just fall in love with the city. And so I've been here, I came here on purpose, and while I was helping to lead economic development, it's hard to kind of put your finger on it. And I was saying this yesterday for those of you who may have heard or went to the ribbon cutting at 505 Clinton of the Gant Gilbert Artist Collective. And matter of fact, when I was driving here, I was so focused on 505, I passed the center. I was like, oh, I have to turn around and come back. But we started working on that project 7 years ago. So it gives you an idea of like how long economic development takes. And when I first came to the city, we had $2 billion of development in the pipeline. That just means that it's coming up. It means that there's been permits, approvals, here are the plans, here's what's gonna happen. So it went from 2 billion to 6 billion. So it gives you a sense of like how much growth and opportunity is in the city. And I was fortunate enough to have the privilege of helping to lead that. I'll fast forward a little bit. During the pandemic, the founder, the creator of Audible, for those of you who haven't heard of Audible, we are the largest creator of audiobooks and sound entertainment in the entire world. So it's accessible on an app. And it's a great way for students to learn, for people who are not like active readers to still get through books. And we create all of our own original content. We're actually headquartered in Newark. And the founder and executive chairman reached out to me and said, they're starting this new global center for urban development. Will I help come run it for them? And he said 2 words, Newark and economic development. I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm sold, right? And so now to have the resources and have at the highest level people saying, no, we care about this city. Like we moved here on purpose. And that was just resonating to me because I was like, damn, well, I came to Newark on purpose too. And so I have the privilege of now thinking about economic development and the role that we can play as a private entity based here, but not enough to just say, okay, we're here. Like we're actively hiring, we're actively running pretty intensive year-round internship programs, not in a traditional kind of corporate sense where it's like for the summer for 2 months. It starts in high school, not just college, it's year-round, and it's only for Newark students. And so those are some of the reasons, those are some of the things that attracted me. But I want to just, I'm watching the time, I know there's more people. I just want to share 2 other quick things. When I look back and I think back about like where I am, and I really only do this when people ask me to speak because I'm not incredibly self-reflective, but when I look back, I tend to focus just on the wins. Like I'll tell you everything good that's going on. Here's what's next. I'm not telling you about all the challenges because we know it's there. And I try not to give life to the challenges, right? I try not to let that breed. And so I tend to focus on those positive things. And I teach my kids, and we have these conversations all the time about a growth mindset. And so one thing I wanted to share today is a growth mindset is a bit more than a positive outlook, right? So you could say, you know, this bottle is half empty, you're have a negative outlook, right? It's half full. Supposedly that's a positive outlook, right? What I try to do and what I've always been focused on is getting more water, right? And if I want to take it even further, like how come there's only one cup? How come there's only one bottle? Can we create more? Right? And so I think it shifts your mindset from thinking about this particular vessel that's holding this particular amount of water, meaning like your circumstances and what you're facing and your challenges and your struggles right now. It shifts it from this to, you know what, I need more water. Matter of fact, we should have more cups. And one thing that I feel deep in my soul is that, and as you begin to collect more cups, we start giving them out. You have to give them out. And so it's one thing that's allowed me to stay focused on the growth, because if I'm just focused on this water, that's why they say fill your cup first. Because if you just focus on your own cup, of course you have to keep filling it, right? But if you're focused on the amount of water that's being created and you're focused on that growth, then you have enough to really be giving it out, right? And so that's something that's helped me with my own personal development, and that I try to really pour into my children. And then the second thing, I'm gonna just spend like 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes. I want you all to listen to something that I was listening to, because now I'm addicted to Audible. I listen to Audible all the damn time. I was listening to on my drive in this morning, and it's a book called Heavy by Kiese Layman. It's a memoir, and it's really powerful. The brother's writing to his mother, and he said that basically the whole book is about how we lie to ourselves. And so he was writing this book, and he kept struggling about what to write, and then he realized he needed to just really have an open, honest conversation with his mother. And so the book is really, really powerful, but there was a snippet that I was listening to this morning that it stuck with me, and I was reluctantly trying not to add the bookmark while I was driving. So I just want to play it for you all very quickly.
Okay. Grandmama said she had faith in the white doctor who was taking care of her. She kept calling him the white man doctor, though he was really a short, light-complexioned black man with a dry red afro. The white man doctor got my best interests at heart, she said. Grandmama will be fine directly. The black doctor with the dry red afro asked me to leave the room because they had to do a small procedure. He said the infection was deeper than he thought. It started in the middle of her head and went down the back of her neck. We're going to help her with this pain, he told me. The infection is seeping into her bloodstream. I walked out of the room, but he didn't close the door behind me. Lord Jesus, Grandmama kept saying before she screamed. Please have mercy. Please have mercy. I knew, but didn't want to admit why Grandmama was screaming, why the black doctor with the dry red afro didn't give her enough anesthetic, why he thought cutting a full 1.5 inches deep into the back of her scalp was for her own good. Folks always assumed black women would recover, but never really cared if black women recovered. I knew Grandmama would act like she recovered before thanking Jesus for keeping her alive. She would never publicly reckon with damage done to her insides and outsides at the hands of people who claimed to have her best interest at heart. She would just thank Jesus for getting through the other side of suffering. Thanking Jesus for getting us through situations we should have never been in was one of our family's superpowers.
So that, it just hit me. It hit me for so many different reasons. And it was one of the things I wanted to talk about today, because we don't have to suffer or struggle. We do not. Even if we're accustomed to it, even if we've proven we could get through it time and time again, that doesn't mean that we have to, right? We deserve happiness. Like, please recognize that. We deserve happiness. We deserve to be celebrated. We deserve to celebrate each other. We get so used to the struggle that we think that's normal. It might have been our normal, but it shouldn't be, right? And so that's the shift that I wanted to share with you, because we should really be approaching it as just one piece of our struggle, of our story. So while while we can shift on what the wins are, while we can shift on kind of building and growing, that allows us to focus on what those opportunities for growth really are. Tapping into our God-given gifts and enabling us to really get used to winning. Like, we should be used to winning, right? Because even through the struggle, you actually got through, and that was a win. So rather than celebrating the struggle and you know what I went through and you know what brought me here, no. If we shift and focus on the actual win, we will get more glory. So that's what I really wanted to share with you today, and implore you to really think about that mindset shift. It's one of the reasons why I just never believe in competition, ever, right? Because the more we can shift to those wins, and we could like really begin to encourage that in others, I just hope that the next sister sees that as well. So thank you for allowing me to share with you today.
So y'all heard it, right? So we focusing on the win, right? Let me hear that. Win. I'm a winner. I'm winning. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Winning. That's it. Hold on, Aisha. Hold on for 1 second. Mikey. Hold on for 1 second, my love. So, this beautiful lady just hit us with some jewels. I hope that you write it down, take it with you, and employ it in your life, because it's important, right? You guys are beautiful on purpose. You're more than enough, and you're winners, right? That part. Period. But before you go, though, I have something for you. Could you, thank you. Because, you know, people come up here, they speak to us, they don't want anything. They do it because they believe in us. But I believe in them too. And they deserve their flowers. And they deserve things while they're here, because they don't have to. And they don't have to tell us anything. They can go on with their normal lives and keep pushing and be like, all right, keep it, or whatever. But that's not how it's supposed to be, especially during Women's History Month. So our team, will make sure you get your flowers. And we thank you. That's on behalf of the entire team. The entire team. Yeah, we love you and we appreciate you. And we thank you for spending your time with us today. We know you got to run. Thank you, ladies. But thank you.
Thank you.
And that's on behalf of the Shani Baraka Center, Resource Center. Thank you. So we're going to keep this flowing. I think that we should give out the plaques before Fee come on. Yeah. But go get the plaques, huh? All right. You guys, I know you guys, I see that you guys was, I think because you ate, you was getting a little tired, but I got something special for y'all coming, and I think it's going to lift y'all up, and then y'all going to be like, I want some desserts, right? You can take all the desserts with y'all and enjoy it. All right, the next ticket is 932. No, 0. 299932. Do anybody got it? Yes, Miss Brenda. Yes. Yes. The next one is 299961. 299961. 299961. Yep.
Wait, let her look for her ticket.
What's the name? That lady?
That's you? Oh, congratulations.
Y'all remember y'all tickets. Okay. The next one is 300-033. I don't want y'all to think. Okay. All right, ancestors. All right, I have something special for y'all. I got something special. It smells good in here. I don't know if that's some sage or what is this? I got to smell it. So, without further ado, I would like to bring up the lady of our ancestors. This young lady will give you something very special, and I hope that you can take it with you. Are you ready, sister?
My train is headed for freedom. My train. My train is headed for freedom. My train. All right now. My passengers had enough of sadness. They're going where they will find some gladness. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom. My train. My train. Give me some. You better give me some. My train is headed for sunshine. My train. Ooh, you were sharp. Watch your back. I like that. My train is headed for freedom. My train. Hey, Puffy. My passengers had enough of sadness. They're going where they will find some gladness. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom. My train. My train is headed for sunshine. My train. I said my train headed for sunshine. My train. When folks get on board, it is always nighttime. When they get off, it is such a bright time. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom. My train. Oh, clap. My train headed for freedom. My train. My train headed for freedom. My train. When folks get on board, it's always nighttime. When they get off, it is such a bright time. My train headed for freedom. My train. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. That's more like it, okay? I am Harriet Tubman, and I was born in America, but I am Ashanti. Granddaughter of an enslaved, brought here in chains from Africa. My mother and father were born into slavery, but married and faithful to each other, both of them Ashanti. And we are a proud, warlike West African County, Dorchester County, on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay, Maryland. Now, when I was born, they named me Araminta. Do I look like an Araminta to all of you? No, right? I didn't like that name, y'all, so they called me Minty, like I was a piece of gum or something. My mother's real name was Harriet Green. So when I was old enough to choose, I changed my name to Harriet after my darling mother. She had such a hard life with terrible suffering, but she never, ever let that crush her loving spirit. Now, when I was 6 years old, little boy, let's roll. Come on. Don't keep me waiting. How old are you, baby? How old are you? 10. You're 10? What's your name? Rejoice. Rejoice? Rejoice? Now that's an appropriate. Rejoice, that is a beautiful, let me take off your hood, baby. That is a beautiful, appropriate name, unlike Araminta. Yeah. Rejoice, when I was 6 years old, just 4 years younger than you, I was taken from my mother, and I was hired out to a mean man named Cook who sent me to watching his musk rat traps, R-A-T traps. So that meant that I had to wade, come on, Rejoice, that meant that I had to wade through very, very cold water, and I grew very ill with the measles and bronchitis, and I grew near to dying. My mother persuaded her master to send me back. And Master Cook sent me back saying, that child is useless, lazy, and stupid, all because of the color of my skin. First time that I ever helped an enslaved person escape was when I was 13 years old. When I was 24 years old, I married John Tubman. Hey, watch him now. Now, ladies, he was a handsome devil of a man, and he was also a free black. You see, there were many free blacks in the southern states in Maryland at the time, and John asked me to be his wife, and at first I said no, because if we had children, put your hand on my shoulder, if we had children, they would also be enslaved. But John overcame my fears and my concerns with promises to one day set me free somehow. And so we was married, thank you, Rejoice. So we was married by jumping over a broom. You see, there was no legal way for blacks and African Americans to get married in this country in 1844. We were not considered human, so we had to take a regular house broom and put it down on the ground. And we would jump over it, which is a West African custom and Ashanti tribe tradition, which symbolizes going over the threshold and into one's home and starting one's lives together. And for 4 years, John and I were so happy. Except for the fact that my John never understood what it meant to be enslaved. You see, at night when I would close my eyes, I could see the horsemen coming, and I could hear the screams of women and children being taken to a far worse slavery than here. Often I would wake in terror screaming that I was being dragged away in chains. John often laughed at me and he would tease me. And once he even said to me, if you ever try to escape, I will come after you and bring you back. Do y'all believe he meant that?
Yes.
Dang, all of y'all? I don't know if John meant it or not, but I knew that when I had to leave, I dared not tell John. Fast forward now to the Civil War. When the news came of the capture of Port Royal in South Carolina, I decided to go there and work amongst my people. Did I work as a nurse? During the Civil War? Bite your tongue. Yes, I did. Was I a cook during the Civil War?
Yes.
Yes. Was I a liberator of thousands of enslaved throughout the South? Yes. Was I a spy for the Union? Yes. Today, that union is now called the CIA. I was the only African American woman allowed throughout different military bases throughout plantation, which was to free our ancestors, but did it?
No.
No, ma'am, it did not. June 1st, 1863, by myself, I went down to the Gullah Islands of South Carolina. Have you all ever heard of the Gullah Islands?
Sure have.
Yes, sure have. You better, ain't you? So, I went there by myself. I had my piece in my left hand, my piece in my right. Y'all know what I had. My Bible and my revolver. My piece and my piece of steel. I scoped out 3 plantations, June 1st, 1863, by myself. The next day, June 2nd, 1863, I didn't know that I was going to end up making history. June 2nd, I went back with 3 men and 3 boats who were to help me bring our ancestors to freedom. Now, these boats could only accommodate about 20 to 25 people comfortably. Would y'all believe me if I told you that day our ancestors were running towards me barefoot with children in their right hands and live chickens in their left hands and actual piglets on their backpacks just running around looking like Kanye West with a backpack on. But it had a piglet. It had a piglet. Live piglets in it. That day, I brought over 800 of our ancestors to freedom. We burnt down the torpedoes. We burnt down the bridges. I recently found out that the United States government said because of that, they said I am the first American woman to lead a successful military raid, and they are inducting me into the Military Hall of Fame. So now, my mother once told me that she ought not to have ever had been enslaved. Let's go, DKN1. My mother once told me that she ought not to have ever had been enslaved. So I paid a lawyer to look up the will of my mother's first master. And there he found the little girl, Rit. Remember, my mother's birth name is Harriet Green. My birth name is Araminta Ross. So when I changed my name to Harriet at 11 years old, we didn't want there to be confusion on the plantation. So my mama went by Rit, R-I-T, and I remained Harriet. So my mother, like I said, my mother and father were the last people that I ever brought to freedom. And like I said, my mother told me that she should have never had been a slave, especially for this long. So when I paid a lawyer to look up the will of my mother's first master, there he found the little girl, the little fashionable girl, my mama, Rick. And she was given to his 5-year-old granddaughter to look after the little girl. So my mother's white master is 5 years old. My mother is 9 years old. By law, this little girl, my mother's 5-year-old master, could do anything she wanted to my mother by law. She could starve her, but it wouldn't be considered starving because the law stated that we weren't human. And so she could starve my 9-year-old mother, and she could do anything she wanted to my mother sexually too, because Congress passed a rape law, R-A-P-E, which stated that any white man could have his way with any Negro female sexually, regardless of her age, and it will never be considered rape. So my mother had all these obstacles in her course. So one day, my mother's 5-year-old master, she didn't wake up from her sleep. She died. My mother's 9, her master's 5, and there was all this commotion around the house. No one was paying any attention to my mother. So my mother looked around the house. My mama looked to the left, and then my mama looked to the right. And then straight ahead, my mother saw the front door. So my mother walked. My mother walked to the front door, and she turned that doorknob. My mother said when she opened up that door, she said the sun looked like gold over the trees and over the fields. She said she felt like she was in heaven. So my mama, she walked and she walked. My mama, don't ever walk ahead of me, back up. And she walked and she walked and she walked. My mother walked for 60 minutes. For 1 hour, for the first time in my mama's life, she tasted freedom. My mother was was so thirsty, she saw a well. She tried desperately to quench her thirst. So my mama was sticking her hand in the well. My mama was sticking her little fingers in the well, trying to quench her thirst, bringing it up to, mama don't talk, just gesture. Trying to bring the water up to her mouth. And little did my mother know that as she was walking, keep drinking, mama, keep drinking. Little did my mother know as she was walking, her 5-year-old master who had just died, her 8-year-old brother had been following my mother and waiting for my mother to stop. So as my mama is drinking, keep drinking. As my mom is drinking, she feels a little hand on the back of her collar. And he grabs her and takes her back to the plantation. And just like that, my mama was emancipated, meaning what? Free. She was made over as property. That was the original definition of the word, emancipated. It wasn't freedom and liberty as we know it to be now. Yes. So he emancipated my mother. He made her over as property. And so for the next 69 years, my mother lived enslaved in bondage until she was freed by her very own daughter. And I sometimes think my greatest achievement ever was rescuing my parents. Yes. You see, my parents were old now and their life was simple. But praise the Lord.
Yes, Lord.
They were free.
Yeah.
Now, my mama was not an educated woman. She had the wisdom of the universe. She had God's wisdom, but she never had a formal education. My mother told me, baby, don't you ever forget that the word fear, F-E-A-R, has 4 definitions. My mother said, baby, don't you ever forget that fear is false evidence appearing real. She said, you are forgetting that everything is all right. My mama said, you can forget everything and run. Or like all of you beautiful queens are doing here today, you are facing everything and rising because I am bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so I rise. Because when folks get on board, it's always nighttime. You're free, mama. Go, little ham. When they get off, it is such a bright time. My train is headed for freedom. Thank you.
Don't go far. Can we get them to fill these seats up? Get them to sit in these seats. People that's out here. Have them sit down. Freedom, right? Woo. That was powerful. I was over there like, I'm a big crybaby. I think I cry like 3 times a day. I'm like, It felt so replenishing. It was replenishing. So I'm not going to belabor us any longer. I want to call on a dear friend of mine who I'm very proud of. She around? She works. Oh, there she go. She works with Felicia Holt. She works with OVPT team. She is an amazing young black up and coming rising woman. She has an amazing story, but more importantly, I am so glad to be her friend. I am glad to see her accomplishments. I am glad to work next to her, beside her, around her, with her. She used to be my neighbor too. She left me. But the most important thing is that we have to celebrate everybody. I mean, ages, no matter where you at in life, where you going, where you been at, we have to celebrate everybody. And we can't have these events without having our peers be able to come in and share their stories with us. Like, they matter too. And so although this might be one of her first speaking engagements, it ain't her last. It ain't her last. So I want you guys to give a big round of applause for Felicia.
Hey everybody, I was the bartender for the day. No, I'm playing. How y'all doing? My name's Felicia. Everybody call me Fee. Hey, DKNY. So I was listening to the lady that spoke before me, and she was saying that she tried not to focus on she always tried to focus on the wins. But I'm a little different. My journey is the reason I'm the person I am right now. So I gotta share my journey with people because I feel like it can help somebody. And I wish I can help everybody because that's what I try to do. But if I could just help one person, if I can get to one person, then I'm okay with that. You all right, sister? Let the sister through so she can sit down. Come on, sister. Okay? Okay. So, I made a lot of mistakes.
Sorry. Ain't the only one.
Right, that's life. Life will tear you up. Life will chew you up and spit you out if you allow it to. But I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of poor decisions. But the best part about making mistakes is when you learn from them. So I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about who I am. I grew up in a household with both my parents, my grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother, and my siblings. Yeah, it was a lot going on in that household. But, and I was a good kid. I was a really good kid. When I decided to come out and express my sexuality, life took a turn. Tried to make me feel like I wasn't human, or the way I was feeling was not the right way to feel. So I started running away from home. I started running in the streets. I tried to commit suicide a few times. I got put into the hospital for my senior year. That's why I didn't graduate right out of school, being in high school, because I was depressed, struggling with depression. So fast forward a little bit. I started hustling, joined the gang, wanted to be around people that I feel like will accept me. And that was the wrong thing to do. I got into relationships that I probably shouldn't have got into. Looking for the love from my mom. Don't get me wrong, I have great parents. But looking for the love from my mom, I started looking for that love in other women and not even knowing how that love may come. Thinking that the love that they was giving me was the proper way to be loved, right? So then I was hustling, always in the streets. I got high a few times. So I went to jail, kept going back and forth to jail, And even going to jail, it was just, I thought it was okay. I know that let me say this. They give drug dealers more time than they give a murderer. Because a drug dealer feel like if I go to jail now, I come home, I can find a different way to do it. Or if I don't hang with these people and I do it by myself, I can get away with it. But a murderer doesn't wake up and want to kill somebody. They had to be pushed to the edge. Something drove them there. So I kept going to jail until it was when I went to the feds. I went to the feds a few years ago. And when I got to the feds, I'm a person that gives and care about everybody else. So I wasn't really worried about how I was supposed to feel once I got there. So when I got there, I had to look at it and try to make a positive out of it because okay, why am I sitting down? What's the purpose of me sitting down? I still had to find myself. I needed to know what was my purpose of, because everybody in this world have a purpose. You just got to find out what it is. So in jail, I was there for the reason I was there for. But I also, because I'm genuinely trying to help somebody, a couple of my friends, we got together and we put care packages together for women that was coming in that didn't have nothing. And the feds is expensive. So if you done burnt bridges with your family and they ain't giving you nothing, we was working for 12 cents an hour, right? And that was the first time I actually experienced racism, because I was in West Virginia. So about 8-9 hours away from home. So we put some stuff together. I joined this group in jail where it was like a 7-woman's panel, and they take you off the compound and you go talk to kids about your, tell your story. So I was like, let me get myself into something, because it's easy to jump right back into negative situations or being around. When they say people, places, and things, that's something serious. And the only reason why I knew I wasn't going to be tested until I came out of prison, because in prison you're monitored. You can't do too much. It's restrictions. So I had to think, like, what are you going to do when you go home? That's when I realized, what I did affected everybody at home. When I was out here running the streets, I didn't think that nothing that I did affected no one. Why? Because I don't have any children. And I feel like I didn't involve my family in what I was doing, so they're not affected by it. But once I went to prison, it's like my nieces and nephews is affected now, my siblings, my parents, people that love me. They don't want to see me, in prison. So I came home, and Adina that got IHOP, she gave me my first job. I was in a halfway house. But the problem was, I was a busboy. I had to wash dishes, clean toilets, and wipe tables. And every day was an issue for me. I was, my anxiety was up. I was like, wait a minute, I'm somebody, people going to see me. And I was really stuck in my own head, because when everybody seen me, they was just happy that I was home. They didn't care that I was washing dishes or wiping the table, but I still have, those things that I struggled with when I came home. So, and I learned to appreciate a lot. 12 cents an hour, I came home making $8.65, but I appreciated the $8.65. So bad situations make you appreciate the good when it do come. I mean, it may not have been a lot, because I was like, listen, I sold drugs, this ain't enough money, but coming from 12 cents, I'm rolling. $8.65, we up. So that was just, and I'm the type of person that, I took that as like my stepping stone. Shout out to the mayor, he had a program, and the program is still running. It was for people coming home from being incarcerated, 6-month program for you to get back on your feet at Department of Public Works. So I waited to get in there. I said, all right, I'm gonna get up in there, 6 months, all right, cool. Got up in there, 6 months. I stayed after 6 months. You gotta come to work, you gotta show up. So I did that. I tried to stay consistent with, what I had to do. And I appreciate that program a lot, because a lot of people talk a good game and say they got programs, and if you and when he made that program, that helped me out a lot. But I was in that program during the pandemic, so coming home off the back of the garbage truck, getting undressed outside the door was a bit much for me. But it was okay. I appreciated it. I learned from it. I was great at that. But then I got the opportunity from Director Yuri, the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. And I'm only working off of just life experience. I don't have the degrees. I don't need that though, and I'm genuinely a person that want to help. And that's what make me appreciate my job. It's like, I used to have a passion to sing, but my passion now is to help people. Yeah, I'm not singing today, Nana. But I'm just saying, DKNY, now you're pushing me now. But no, I get up every day and love my job, because that's genuinely who I am. I love to help people, and that's my way of giving back. If I could tell my story and keep a couple of these women brothers off the streets, it's a pull-up. You know, we got to encourage one another, and I try to encourage everyone. I want everybody to win. And I know that if I didn't experience the things that I experienced, I probably wouldn't be this person. I probably still would have wanted to keep my foot in and one foot out. But it's better to do the right thing than, you know, all that energy I put into hustling and doing negative, I put all that energy into work every day. And I work 2 full-time jobs, and I don't know how I do it. Don't know. I promise you. And I try to come into work with 100%, 200 sometimes, and do my job because I just want to help people. I want somebody to take my story. And like I said, I only want one person. I'd rather just touch one person, even though I want everybody to win. Everybody, you know, not there yet, but one person, I'll take that because it makes me feel good. And it's not work to me. It's just me. It's giving back. And that's what make me feel good. That's what I can go home and say, job well done. Because I done lift one of my sisters up, pull one of my brothers up, and I do this every day. Every day. And if I didn't have the opportunity to do it and be on a platform with everybody that's under the Office of Violence Prevention, social workers, outreach workers, we boots on the ground every day. And sometimes you gotta meet the people where they at. Because I was once in their shoes, I was there, so that's why it's personal for me. I was that same one that was smoking weed and popping pills and, you know, running the streets and gang banging. How dare me to judge someone that's in addiction? So I meet everybody where they at. And that's how you help one. Help one another, and I love what I do. But look, I try to live by, I don't know what here we go. No, I got it. I'm about to get from up here, but I try to live by, I'm going to say 8 rules. One, my director always say, she lead with love. You got to lead with love. All the time. And if you're not in it to, I don't got to be in it for the money at all. I really want the best for everyone. Genuinely. I don't have to know you, but I would still give you the shirt off my back. I was catering to the elders. They made me run a couple times for some cake, but I was down for it, you know? So I'm going to say lead with love. Smile, it always works out in the end. You don't know what a smile will do for somebody. You don't know what nobody's going through. So a smile or a good morning or a good afternoon will make somebody's day. Be kind. You have the power to make people feel good. And it's okay. Don't give up. If it doesn't work the first time, find another way. Don't compare. Everyone's on a different journey. Avoid negativity. Avoid negative thoughts, situations, and people. That's that people, places, and things. Make peace with your past. Focus on being present and creating a better future. And take care of your body and mind. One struggle survives without the other. So I appreciate y'all listening to me.